My guest on this week's episode of No Sugar Coat is usually busy mentoring the next generation of great pastry chefs at the Lavonne Academy, Bangalore. Vinesh Johny founded Lavonne in 2012 with the aim of bringing world-class pastry education home to India. Where does India stand globally in the world of pastry? How does one juggle teaching and running multiple cafes? Let's find out. Vinesh, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for actually having me.
Yes. I think my first memory of meeting you was it 2015 or 16 in Singapore?
Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Singapore.
We met in Singapore. It was the Forbes Under 30 Asia thingy. And I was making macaroons.
Yeah.
And
I was making chocolates.
You were making chocolate. Was Lavonne already up and running by then?
Yeah, I think it was maybe 3 years into Lavonne. We started in the year 2012, the first pastry school in India, which is so strange because 2012 is not too long ago. And I don't think we needed to be in the 2000s to have a pastry school in India. And then a couple of years from then, Forbes happened and
That's when we met. And then we met. Then we were also in Boston together, which was another great experience in the
What
kitchen.
A trip.
So it was like a chef's competition, and we had to bake for 1,500 students. And Vinesh chose one of the hardest things to make in a kitchen that was not his, with ingredients that we didn't understand, and with
God!
And with no help.
Man, that's a whole podcast itself. If I have to go into what all happened in that trip.
That trip, yeah, it was crazy. But I want to just dial back a bit and understand what was the turning point or defining moment in your career that made you realize that pastry was your true calling.
I mean, for me to just go back a little bit and how I got into culinary, it was because I wasn't good at academics. That's the truth, right? I sucked in school. I didn't know how to study. I tried my best. Not like I wasn't trying to I wasn't a bad student. I always went to tuitions, tried reading these books. But when the results came, only fail. So I wanted to do something that was skill-based. And there was some flair of cooking in the house with my brother, and he always wanted to be a chef. And that sort of I met a friend who did the culinary school in Bangalore, and he told me about the course, and I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. Got into hotel management in Christ College, and then I was exposed to front office, food and beverage, all of that. Housekeeping. And then slowly realized maybe it's not chef that I want to be. And food and beverage is pretty cool. Then when I was doing my internship in Oberoi, got 2 months in bakery. The chef who is still, I think he's still with the Oberoi, Chef Deep, gave me a lot of opportunities in the kitchen. So I was not just in the regular
there's no
intern.
Stories of baking from your childhood?
No.
Or
my first baking at home would be during COVID.
Are you serious?
There was no ovens at home, no microwaves at home. Nobody baked in my house. It was a regular family that ate simple food. Not a lot of restauranting as well. All of it happened after I joined the culinary industry. And then pastry is pretty simple when you just give perfect sort of instructions, right? You have a recipe, follow the time. You will get the result that you want. And I started doing that initially, and I could see immediately you could see results. And somehow got attracted to it. And the kitchen was cold and the ingredients were so nice. It wasn't like the hot kitchen.
You smell like chocolate every day.
Yeah.
It's like cocoa butter hands. When I was working in a chocolate shop, I was like, my hands are so soft.
And then when I went back to college, I said I want to do pastry. And that's how it happened.
Throughout your culinary school days, did you face any moments of self-doubt, uncertainty about your chosen path? And what helped you stay committed to pursuing pastry and baking?
I think during my internships is when I really thought if this is something that is the right choice. Because I think when I joined, it was a 6 months internship.
Where did you
at the Oberoi in Bangalore. I did 2 months in what was called the assistant to training manager. which is like a really cool job, right? You're wearing the suit, you have the tie, you're walking with the training manager, you're meeting new interns every day, you're telling them what to do, you're doing inductions of the hotel. So like I knew everything about the hotel. And then I went to bakery for 2 months. So again, amazing. And something happened and they needed help in kitchen stewarding. So I was immediately put to just clean and wash dishes for 2 months straight. And I'm like, I didn't join degree college to be doing this. But because it wasn't for like 3 days or 5 days, it was for 2 months. That's what I did for 2 months. In my internship, when I wanted to learn about food and beverage, I wanted to learn about other departments, I was only doing this. And I felt like I was a little bit annoyed and I was like, is this something that I should be doing, right?
In hindsight, though, do you feel like it helped you?
Of course. Like now, if you tell me how to clean an oven, I know exactly which chemical, how to use it. I'll teach the housekeeping staff how to do it. Incredible experience. But then when you're like that age, you're like so young, you kind of like get a little bit annoyed, but incredible experience. But what helped me get through all of that was just the conversations I had with my friends, right? Like everybody just stuck together, support each other. I had conversations with my seniors. They said, this is how it is. You're going to learn from it. It really helped me.
How did the idea of Lavonne come up?
So when I went back to college to do my final finishing, which was the specialization program, I saw what we were doing in college, but I was also sort of seeing what was going around in the hotels at that point in time and what was going internationally. And of course, Le Cordon Bleu, Ferrandi and all were just dreams that I think I could have never done because I didn't have the monies to do any of those courses. And then I was like, if there could be few people like me, then I'm sure there's going to be many like me who would want to do a program, not at the similar level, but at least at that level in India itself. So I convinced my teacher then that we need a school in India. That's how it started.
And you were what, 24 years old? 23 years
No,
old?
that time I was 21.
21, wow.
Then what he told me was that it's too early. People straight out of college don't start schools. You have to go and do some work. So I said, okay, I'll get a job. I was the only management trainee who got selected to do the job from the India, Bangladesh and Maldives region. I was surprised again. I was like, man, this is amazing that I got this job. Worked there for 2 years. But they gave me a scarf in 11 months. They made me a junior sous chef or whatever the thing is after you finish your management training. And then I slowly started seeing that I wasn't being my best in a hotel kitchen. And I really wanted to step out of a hotel kitchen.
Explain? Like, what do you mean you weren't being your best?
It gets too monotonous at some point. Also, the timings, the long hours, it sort of killed my passion at some point. And I remember almost like I said, I can't go there anymore. But it was an incredible learning experience, right? Because it just makes you the person that you want to be. And also the kind of learnings that I've got from the hotel was just not what I would have gotten from college. And then I wanted to step out and see if we could start Lavonne. Went and met with my teacher, Evan, who's another founder at Lavonne. And I said, we have to start now because otherwise I might do something else. And then he said, okay, let's do it. So I called the chef immediately. And the chef was actually very sweet because he helped me become the person that I could become very quickly, kept giving me the right sort of opportunities while I was doing my training. And then I told him, I said, I need to go.
I gotta go do something. And then and at that point you were 24 when you started Lavonne.
Yeah.
Which is now India's first pastry and baking academy. And as a pioneer in bringing pastry education in India, what were some of the initial challenges you faced in convincing people about the importance of this specialized field of study?
10 years ago, I think maybe 11 years ago, I think the industry was very different. Even you would agree to how challenging it was because there were very few people who understood what we were doing, unlike now, because now the market sort of dictates what they want to see at what quality compared to before. It was almost us educating why this product is at this level. I remember people ask me, why are you charging 70 rupees for cream biscuit? those cream biscuits. And I'm like, man, that has almond powder and like it's complicated. Every time I make it, sometimes it doesn't happen. I didn't even I couldn't even break the science of how to make a perfect man. I mean, now I know exactly what happens. But then when you're just starting off making macarons, it's raining, it's not happening. You're just like so confused, right? But I could see that now everybody knows everything, which is amazing. And I feel like
for me as well, right? Like when I decided to study pastry, and the reason I also went abroad 15 years ago, because I didn't find any options here. Today, anybody asks me, they're like, oh, where should we go study pastry? The first thing I tell them is like, check Lavonne out, you know? And I think that's incredible that you managed to build that in such a short period of time. But really, there was ingredients, like finding like simple ingredients when I came back from Paris. Like, and the reason I also tell people that study locally as much as you can as well, because you'll go abroad and you do this great education and then you come back here and you can't use anything that you learned there because you won't get the right ingredients. The temperatures are so different.
Absolutely.
Everything is challenging.
Absolutely. And I felt like a lot of the knowledge was stuck with the chefs who worked in hotels and it didn't really like come out. And now it's the other way around. I feel like it's going back to where we are now educating chefs who are in the hotels.
Isn't that incredible?
That's insane. It's amazing.
Yeah. And also you started when you were very young, and a lot of time people disregard someone for not having enough experience. Do you think starting an institute so young helped or hindered you?
I'm not going to say it was the easiest, because there were moments in time where people have questioned my sort of like experience, age, not taking you too seriously. And like people from the industry as well, like you've had the sort of experiences where you've had some conversations I feel like were kind of strange at that point in time. But I also sort of recognized I was young, and it's totally fair for them to feel the way they did. But it only like sort of helped me get better at what I was doing. Despite whatever people are saying, at the end of the day, it's your story. And if you have to do it, you have, firstly, as a pastry chef, you need to be damn skilled. So get that in place. So it was only constantly practicing, innovating, trying new things, looking at things that were sort of the way it's supposed to be and seeing what if you like flipped it and did it the other way, which is this kind of style of pastry that I usually like go for. And slowly people started recognizing. So I think it just takes time.
And what you teach, your curriculum at Lavonne, is very different from what traditional hotel schools teach. What was important to you when putting together what you wanted to teach at Lavonne?
The initial days for us at Lavonne, I felt like we also needed to learn a lot. There was enough knowledge in the country, but there was also a lot of knowledge that wasn't there. And what we did was we kept inviting a lot of chefs. I felt like that sort of like built identity to what we have become as a pastry school, because we've been able to see the best of the best from the world to come and show us how they do it, right? It could be the same thing over and over again, but the way like an Antonio Bashir does it or a Frank Hasner does it, whoever we've brought them all in so that not only the team learns, the country learns, all the chefs learn. So we have like really cool base recipes that would work anywhere, and those don't change. From the curriculum standpoint, Chef Evan, who is a hardcore academician, like he's only does academics, makes the syllabus, figures out how, if I come up with a recipe, he'll know how to put measurements to it. Mm-hmm. So the team is a very like diverse team with different skill sets who can put together what the syllabus and how to sort of deliver the curriculum to the students. Apart from that, there's a lot of things that we change because we keep learning as a team, and then we say, okay, fine, you know what, this is what is definitely a student should know, and these are the new things that's happened the students should have the exposure to. That's pretty much it, yeah. Of course, we have the sort of certifications from the THSC, NSDC, City and Guilds. We've become an autonomous school. But at some point, I feel like all of those certifications for a pastry chef is sort of irrelevant because it's your skill at the end of the day. You should be able to do the craft well. And I hope that we're teaching them the right sort of skill set for them to go and like take the craft to the next level.
No, but that's incredible, right? Like, and I also feel like it's at par with any school internationally, And I think that's the greatest thing. But tell me, have you seen an increased interest in pastry arts in India? And what has that been like in the past decade for you?
We've seen a lot of interest in pastry. I think we started off with 3 students in 2012 and it was...
How did you get the first 3 students?
I have no idea and I also don't know what they're doing right now. I do know. I do know what they're doing. They've become great friends of mine and none of them are doing pastry. But I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can join a pastry school, do the 6-month course, decide if this is for you or not. Because if you choose it, then it is.
And that was
one of
the things that I also wanted to talk to you about. A lot of people who go through the program don't end up staying in the industry.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happens?
I think it's a great way to decide if this is something you want to do for the rest of your life or not. And it's not a long 5 years program. People have done engineering and decide not to do engineering. Right. You can do a 6 months diploma and decide not to do pastry.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's fair.
That's fair. Because the idea is so dreamy, right?
Yeah, and you're baking
I want to be a
cake.
Chef, I'm baking, and you're in your home kitchen.
And you've made few cakes for your neighbors and the aunties love this cake and my daughter makes the best brownies. And then you really sort of believe in it and you come into a real kitchen and then, there's discipline, there's hygiene, there's, you have to be here at this time.
And it's also doing the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I would also tell my team. I said, it's great that you feel like you can make the best cake in the world, but you have to keep making that best cake every single day, day after day. When you don't feel well, when things are not going great, you can't just wake up and say that, oh, today isn't. So
it's true. And then when you have to make it in a certain quantity, it's also tiring because you're standing and doing this every single day. It's not like making a cake once in 2 weeks. It's hardcore. So a lot of respect for people who work in the kitchen.
Yeah. So those first 3 students that you got.
Yeah.
The first 3. So that was the first batch. How did the second batch turn out?
Second batch had 9.
Wow. So you've gone from 3 to 9 and today each batch is like what, 80? 80. That's incredible.
Yeah. It fills up 1 year ahead of time.
Did you have to really think of a strategy for marketing it or did it just happen organically and over time with like word of mouth? Did it just spread?
I mean, for marketing, I'm going to have this separate conversation with you because we don't know how to do marketing properly. Okay?
So you can build a great successful business without knowing things.
I think it's just been the consistent level of upgrading ourselves sort of like... I think everything that we've done was to put better infrastructure, put better teachers, keep learning, keep pushing the curriculum, keep inviting good chefs. Like those were the things that we did for ourselves, which sort of like became the things that people spoke about and which is why I think it just gets filled up. And it's student first. At the end of the day, if somebody comes and says, I've not understood this properly, can you show it again? You can do it 500 times at Lavonne. There's no stress. Because at the end of the day, if you want to do pastry, you do. That's what we want you to do.
You seem like very calm. Are you this calm in the kitchen?
Very calm.
How?
I don't know. I think when you're like a pastry chef in a production kitchen to when you're a chef in a school,
fully different.
And I'm this in between because we have both. So I have to like... Now I don't know what. So that's
how this is going to be another question. Like, how do you juggle it all? Because there's an entrepreneurial side because you're running the business as well. You're also a teacher and you also have cafes. Does it get difficult to keep switching from the different roles? Does it get overwhelming at times? How do you navigate all 3?
I'm just going to say that I'm very, very, very blessed with the team that I have. It's an incredible team, like truly the best team ever. So the guys who run the production kitchen, my pastry chef, he's been there for 11 years from day one. So he sort of understands what we are trying to do with the pastries and what is that minimum expectation of.
Because when you're a school, your cafes are they're like a showcase of what is actually possible.
Yeah.
within the school, right? Like people will eat your dessert and say, okay, I want to learn how to do this. So it's very important that always stays.
I mean, it was always the business model that we're going to have a school and the pastry shop. And then slowly when we started the academy and the shop, we realized that what we were teaching in the school was at a very different level compared to what could be sold in the shop.
Really? In what aspect? Like,
I mean, if you're going to be making croquembouche in class, do you think we can ever sell a croquembouche?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But also we were doing like very complex entremets in class, which may not be shop friendly at all.
Yeah.
Right? I actually want to eat a chocolate cake on my birthday, not an entremet. But we've sort of struck a balance in how we want the shop to be, because I felt like it's an opportunity for us to also educate customers. And that way the students have a lot of confidence to go back and not just go back and make brownies or something like that, like what people want to eat. So they can go back and say, this is something new, why don't you try it? And then create this market where everything is, everybody is growing.
Yeah. You've also taken part in many international competitions. And where do you think India stands globally in the world of pastry?
I mean, from a competition standpoint, there are many, many competitions. And I don't think India lacks the skill set to go and compete and win competitions. The competition that sort of we've taken forward is World Skills. And this happened in 2017 when the government of India reached out to us and said, this is the competition. We need somebody to train the team that represents India. And this is under the Ministry of Skills and Entrepreneurship, National Skills Development Corporation, all of that. And for those who don't know World Skills, it's an insane competition, right? It's 58 skills under one roof. Every country bids to host this competition. It's like the Olympics. And when you come for a competition, you can see they're like aircraft maintenance, there are kids trying to fix an aeroplane, to people gardening, to making like cabinets, and then cooking, and this whole bunch of stuff. And the government takes this very seriously because it is a skill of the nation. And when we got this opportunity, I saw India was ranked number 31. And the goal at that point in time was to at least be in the top 10. I said, come on, man, we are making cakes. And it was difficult because when you're competing at that level, when you have like all of these countries who have been practicing for years, like Korea gets into this competition 4 years before that candidate goes into the competition. So at 16, you know already that you're going to be training for the next 4 years for this competition.
Wow.
It's a very different level of seriousness in those countries, right? And we had like 6 months to practice for this competition. We did whatever we could do. I called in all the help that I could. All the chefs that I knew internationally, I said, can you like see if this is fine, that's fine. And we sort of like over prepared for the competition, but also it was nice that it was happening in Abu Dhabi for the first time. And Abu Dhabi is, I knew a lot of like Indian pastry chefs who opened their kitchens for us to test out some recipes with their ingredients. And we were able to win a silver medal.
That's incredible.
And then that sort of like set the benchmark for what India does in these competitions. So you will take us seriously now when we come into these competitions for pastry and bakery, which is kind of weird.
That's from 31 to...
Yeah.
And so as someone who's a mentor and guides pastry talents, what do you think are some of the most common mistakes young chefs make when it comes to pastry?
The lack of patience. I think that sort of like goes even for me. I know how, if I had some more patience, how I could like make this even better. But even to get your craft to a certain level, there's some amount of practice that goes. For example, piping these macarons the same size. It's not going to happen in 2 days or in 2 weeks. Yeah. Maybe you need a lot more time. Yeah. So giving that time and also sort of training your palate. I think that's more important because as pastry chefs, we are very restricted by the ingredients that we use. And most of it comes from boxes, some seasonality in fruits that we try to put in. But most of the ingredients come ready-made, unlike culinary chefs.
How do you train your palate?
Just by eating.
So eat a lot.
Eat a lot, taste a lot, try the same thing made by different chefs. Think of the things that you like. And then when you start making things, it comes to you. You'd have finished making a pineapple, something, and you'll be like, it needs some lemon zest on this.
Patience. So you're someone that wants to focus on sustainability, and yet you've said in the past that getting the best ingredients in the country was difficult. Do you still feel that way, or do you think that's changing in terms of like dairy or chocolate, where the Indian landscape is concerned?
I still feel our craft does not have enough ingredients in India that can support it locally. I don't know if we have good quality local chocolate yet, or do we have 35% cream that's made here yet. But if that comes to a level where it's all made here, 100% we'll use what's available. There might be some sort of fruit purees that we would import, but that will never be made here. And in fact, it might be cheaper to import and more sustainable to import than trying to grow this product here. So it comes down to like what finally that, I mean, finally think that the customers sort of dictate what we do as chefs. And if we're going to put out local chocolate cake, a cake made with local chocolate, and they don't like it,
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? So I think that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm. So you're not just a chef and a teacher, but also a business owner. What happens when things break down? You've had challenges with teachers when, if somebody leaves. How do you bounce back, and how do you tackle and face challenges that come your way?
I think during the COVID whole pandemic time, I had like a group of chefs who did move on and to find different things. And, like the pandemic was so strange that everybody had like different sort of things that was going on in their own minds. But at the same time, what we've realized is, as people who are the management of the organization, we've come together in the most strongest way possible. And then the team that stuck behind also realized the kind of things that we're doing and actually believing in what we do, right? And that's what you really want from the people who work with you.
But at the time, like honestly, like even when, and because of our discussions and we know each other so well, it's like when you're going through certain hardships and difficulties and these things keep coming up, you're just like, what is going on and how do I deal with this, right? So at that time, there's like real fear of, is this like the right thing to do? How am I going to survive? Do you also go through those sort of emotions?
I feel like I'm a little bit more extra emotional compared to my other partners. So it kind of balances off. So when I like bring a serious situation, I'm like, man, this is an issue. What do we do? And then I see my other partner like, we'll fix it. Don't worry. You chill. Make the cake. You sure?
See, this is the benefit of having co-founders. Because I am alone. So then when I'm alone, I'll panic and I'll go through everything myself.
And we all say, like, sort of kind of offset each other. And the main crew is a bunch of other people apart from my partners. And all of them are in it to figure it out and fix an issue. Even if the problem is solved, we like oversolve it and make sure that there is peace as much as possible.
So we were just talking about COVID, and that was definitely a big setback for hospitality in general. But running an education institute and the challenge of moving everything online, how did you adapt? Did it really help open different avenues for you? How was that whole?
In the beginning, everybody chilled. We all did Instagram. Everyone went live. We made those cookies together.
We made cake.
And then a few months later, I'm like, how long is this lockdown for now? It's going on. We have 140 people in our payrolls. So we did some takeaway, but that wasn't much at all because it's not like usual business at all. And then we switched to online classes. And in the beginning, we were not even sure if this works, right? Because we just said we'll set up a Zoom camera, we'll have one chef, one phone, and we launched the first class. I said, we'll take 25 people. We'll see what happens. And then slowly it turned into something else completely, because everybody was free to like get on a Zoom call and watch something. And now you have access to how the chefs at Lavonne do it. And I think we did about 14,000 students during lockdown.
That's great. For me, like, I remember I love in-person workshops.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like the energy is so different, and my studio can fit like 12 people. And the first month of lockdown, I was like, okay, let's try and do a macroom class online and see how that goes. And we just put out this whole Zoom thing. And I was like, my knee was injured, so I was limping in my like parents' home kitchen and set this whole thing up. And the first class was like 250 people from around the world.
So you're at another level.
No. I'm saying from around the world. So for me, it was just that feeling of like, the classroom has now just expanded, and you are, we had someone logging in from Canada and someone logging in from Kenya. And it was just like, it was just because you as in I had this irrational sort of thought or fear of how things are supposed to be done. And it was like moving beyond your comfort zone. It's like, no, it has to be done in person. And suddenly it's like now the world is your classroom, right? Did you also feel like that?
I felt that during that time. And then immediately now you're like, man, we have to do something online. We have to build this online program and so on and so forth. We were thinking of all of that. And thank God we didn't.
Because
nobody is online anymore watching classes.
And everyone kind of betted on everything, just education going online. And then...
back to how you should learn pastry correctly.
Come, eating
touch
everything.
maida, make your bread, see it not happen, make again, learn, and then go.
So you've seen over the last 10, 12 years, you've seen a lot of ups and downs in the career itself. And you've seen great moments of success. What is something that you know about success now that you wish you had known earlier?
The way I sort of like deal with success is that I don't get very excited about anything very successful. Neither do I get very upset of something going bad. I try to be just enough happy and enough sad.
How do you define what is enough happy and enough?
Because like when you're too happy, you also know that you can't. You have to work on the next thing.
Yeah.
Like you say you launched your cookies and you're very happy. Now you're going to do something else. You're not going to stop at this. If something bad happens or like something terrible happens, then it's okay to be sad. Yeah. But then you can't be sad all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's fix it. Move on.
What are some of the current trends, food trends, that you see that you absolutely love and you absolutely hate?
Are there any trends now? I think people stop making trending things.
I see things on Reels.
Still?
Yeah.
Now only dance comes on my reels. Maybe I'm checking the wrong things.
Your algorithm is messed up. I only see like...
Tell me some of the reels
trends. I see like massive croissant. I see weird ice creams. Then the croissants in the different shapes. And then people just opening like different buns and like Nutella's popping out. Like,
all those videos. Donut Daddy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think... to get recognized on the internet, you need to have videos like that. Because if you put a really clean pastry, you're going to have 7 likes on it and that's it. So if you need the reach, I think people are going to be able to put out content that the internet wants to see and then try and sell the things that you want to show. So I'm not going to...
No, but that's an interesting point that you made. And you are also very active on social media and very organically that you've, built this large community. How do you handle and deal with what kind of content you put out and build the community? Is there like thought that you put behind it? You have some really beautiful, very well-produced videos as well that you shoot and you share. What is your thought process on social media in general?
Most of the following happened during COVID when I was being able to give out recipes. And now I don't do that anymore. So it stopped. I've not grown even by a single follower from the day I stopped posting recipes. But that aside, I now post things that make me happy. And if it's funny or if it's if it's a cool thing or if it's a new sort of like experience for me to share, like the flute video. I was quite psyched.
I was going to ask you, you've done the flute video. Are there any like other wacky ideas that you're thinking of?
I'm trying to fly a kite.
A chocolate kite.
Yeah. But everybody around me has said it's impossible.
So you'll do it.
Now we have to figure out how to do this.
How far along in the process are you?
Nowhere. Starts today.
Did we just come up with this flying a chocolate kite here today on this podcast?
Let's see.
That's incredible. No, I think, and then how do you see this scale? How do you see it grow? What are your future plans?
Plans.
Was it always a dream for you to, because I know we've had conversations and initially you were like, this is it, I'm happy with sort of one academy. And then slowly I saw that there were more floors that were added. And then slowly there was more cafes being added. And now I think they might be moving to a different building in different cities. So what is the big dream? What is the ambition?
I think a lot of the growth is also because there are people in the organization that also needs to grow. Right? You want to be able to pay ridiculous salaries to the people that have been there with you. And that happens when you like grow the business. Otherwise it's impossible, right? And also we sort of see our strengths and decide which is the sort of thing that would make sense for it to grow. And I feel like the model that is more scalable is the cafe, because there is one central kitchen. We have control of how those products are made over there, and we're able to do it. So now we have 3 cafes. The 4th one is in fit-outs in Bangalore, and we're looking at a bunch of more locations. We're also looking at other cities, and we're looking at a bunch of new brands.
There's a lot of people that want to get into the pastry industry and this field. What is the advice that you would give young chefs or people that want to, try the field out?
I think it's a great field. And the industry is still sort of picking up in India. And we still have the passion and the workforce to be able to be trained, to be able to deliver craft which is world-class and beyond. So I do think it's an amazing industry to be in. And also I could see like so many people trying to shake and disrupt the industry in its own way. People who are going into the bean to bar, people are trying to make flour different. There's a lot of things happening which is going to like show results in the next 10 years. So it's probably the best time to be in the industry. And I'm glad that we are in at the right time. We've seen the little bit before. It's almost like Instagram for us. We've seen the little bit before of that and the after. So excited for anybody who wants to join the industry. It's a great time to join.
Vinesh, thank you so much for being here and chatting with me. And where's my dessert?
It's there in my bag. I have dessert for you in the bag.
Are you serious?
I'm not just going to show up like that over here.
Okay, bye. I hope you liked that episode. Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel. For audio episodes, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.